a startup called Electra Vehicle. And this is very exciting because they use IV analytics to manage the performance of the battery of the cars. So this is obviously mostly focused on an electric and hybrid vehicle. But it's very exciting what they could do, and so stay tuned on that. And that will be one of the application that IV will be able to provide to the OEMs. We are on track to provide an early access product in October, and we expect the first version of our platform will ship February of 2022. So everything is on track. We're making a lot of progress. We're spending a lot of resources and time and money and energy in preparing for the market acceptance of this really great platform that we expect to do extremely well down the road. Okay, moving away from IV, I want to just briefly update you all on the accomplishment of FY21. FY21 was a very strange year, as you all know. It was difficult to navigate because of the pandemic, but we have accomplished quite a bit, and so the team has done well, even working remotely. And so, I'm going to go through it very, very quickly. So bear with me. So the top left, BlackBerry continued to win a lot of certification with the government around the world, actually, but government of the United States, we're the leaders of that. We're NIAP certified. We have, classified status, as the video said. We have commercial software for classified use. We achieved that with DoD, and so the list goes on, and the list and DISA and so forth. And we're FedRAMP certified, and that business is also expanding. We were able to block the 165 million attack, or at least 165 million attack in ransomware or cyber attack in general. In fact, so much so that you seldom hear, and touch wood, and this is not a challenge, you seldom hear that BlackBerry system or user has been attacked or successfully attacked. So we were able to prevent most of them, including the latest notorious one, DarkSide, Condi, Nobelium, and there's a long list of names of different viruses and ransomware. Then we talk about the 195 million vehicle that embedded in using BlackBerry QNX software. And we also have 2,000 plus new patent granted, and with 500 more being filed in a year. We launched 59 new products in a year to prepare for that platform that I outlined, which, by the way, we're spending 24% of our revenue invested in R&D. That's a high number. That's akin to a startup type numbers, and we're very proud of that. And we'll obviously, as much as we could afford, we will continue to fund that activities. On the QNX side, despite the fact that we have a slowdown because of the pandemic, a lot of our customers unfortunately had to shut down for a period of time, but we still managed to win 69 design wins. Design wins is important for us in QNX because the revenue cycle starts with the design wins, and it takes a very long time. So this is a very high longevity kind of a business cycle. So we have 21 auto wins and 48 generally embedded wins. And generally embedded including medical devices, other transportations, et cetera, and manufacturing and so forth. So much so that on the electric vehicle front, the EV front, if you count by volume, the top 25, we counted that 23 of the 25 uses our software, and they count for about 68% of the market share. And we also are on track to be carbon neutral in 2021. In fact, I think people told me that last 5 to 7 years we have reduced carbon footprint or emission by 88%. On the financial front, because of the pandemic, we actually suffered a decline of revenue, and the revenue dropped by 16%. A lot of them primarily driven by the QNX royalty because of the planned shutdown, auto production shutdown. That said, our backlog for QNX royalty had gone up and by 9%, from 450 million to 490 million. We are able, because of some of the shutdown, we're able to manage our expenses well. We have an EPS growth of 38% year over year. We came in at 18 cents a share. With adjusted EBITDA at 167 million, and that's a 12% growth, and it's roughly about 18% of revenue. So we have made a little bit of progress. We're obviously not done in pursuing the timeless model. We generated cash, 74 million. We have a good cash balance. We have a good reduction on the debt that saved us about 16 million in interest a year. And our recurring software ratio is still at 90%. So those are actually reasonably good results in a very difficult year. In the last, just to get a wrap up on the financial, in the last 5 years, our revenue CAGR grew about was 11.3%. Just to remind everybody that this number does not include hardware revenue in this, and it also does not include the surface activation fee that power those hardware handset. Gross margin has improved by about 2,700 basis points in the same period of time. So my last slide. What are we working on and what are we investing? This is going to be a year that we're going to focus a lot on marketing, go-to-market, and growth. And because we have a 2 BU and 1 lab system organization, I'm not going to go through every single point, but on the cybersecurity side, we believe our product is now not only up to date with the market, is even advanced ahead of it. And in a couple of days on our earnings call, I'll talk a little about new products being released on the cyber side, which we are very excited about. And the most important thing is increase the channel reach, increase the market reach, and increase the headcount to so-called the feet on the street headcount. And that's going to be a continued investment for that cybersecurity business unit. We talk about the lab quite a bit. I think the definition of some of the trend on how we convert that into a product, into offerings, are the most important thing. And of course, with an eye of the future technologies. And we do a lot of university joint research also. So that's the lab priority. And IoT priority is actually even relatively simple. We will continue to make progress on IV. We'll continue to invest in and also invent use cases for IV. But on the QNX side, we're going to continue to upgrade, but continue to take advantage of increasing ARPU, the average revenue per unit growth in automotive. That only means that we're going to either get into more auto or bigger footprint in each auto. And we feel very good about it because I do believe that we are the top name in that industry. And of course, we continue to go expand on the general embedded market. So with that, that's the material I have prepared. With that, I am ready for Q&A. Now, before I do that, Tim Foote, our head of investor relations, will provide details of the protocol for the question period, and he also will be the one who moderate the Q&A.
Thank you, John. We will address questions submitted by shareholders and their proxies in attendance on this webcast for approximately 15 minutes. Shareholders and proxy holders have had the opportunity to submit questions in advance and may also do so now using the instant messaging feature of the virtual interface. As a reminder, we are unable to receive questions from guests who have not logged in with a control number or username. We'll now give attendees a moment to submit their questions. We will answer as many questions as time permits, and before answering, we will read out or summarize the question. Questions that are redundant, offensive, not primarily related to the business of the company, or otherwise out of order will not be addressed. Please limit your questions to topics relating to today's subject matter and keep your questions brief to give everyone a fair chance to ask a question. Okay, so John, first question that we have is, in recent years, you've been heavily focused on profitability and cash flow. Given the investment plans you've just mentioned, has your viewpoint changed?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yes, you know, for those people who have heard me say it in the past and know kind of, you know, my focus. When I first showed up at BlackBerry 7 years ago, I know we need to pivot the business, and profitability and financial stability was the most important thing. While we do that, we continue to make investment while we can, and to build the confidence of our employees and partners and customers in our company. So we created a pretty good culture of making a profit, and I do believe that, you know, business is about making profit for the shareholders, and then business in software particularly is about creating profit. That said, I think last couple of years I have realized that the shareholders will be more rewarded for growth, and because we now have a pretty stable culture of not going to get into quote unquote financial trouble. I have shifted gear a little bit, or the team has shifted gear a little bit. We're going to be focusing now more on growth. Given the fact that we have two very big markets we talked about earlier, cybersecurity and IoT, given the fact that we participated quite deeply into it, and given the fact that there are some emerging businesses like the secure supply chain businesses that we could participate in, or market we could participate in, I feel that this is a good time for the benefit of the shareholder that we should try to go capture that. So there will be a balance. And the whole idea is once the growth comes in, it will kick in the profit. So I think the short term, we will spend a little bit more money, maybe at the expense of some of the profitability. But again, it's going to be measured.
Great. Thank you, John. A number of shareholders, there's probably not much you can say on this, are asking for an update on the patent sale. Whether there's anything you can say about that.
No, unfortunately, yeah, I know this is going to be a question that will come up. We're in an ongoing discussion. I'm bound by the confidential nature of the discussion. So I really, unfortunately, can't say much. I can only say that it is ongoing. It's making progress, and that's stay tuned.
Okay, thank you. Have you considered changing the name of the company back to Research in Motion? I know this is a question that's come up a number of times.
Yeah, it's always come up. I like the name Research in Motion. I think RIM is a really good name. I think it's also, given the whole IoT world, the kind of the network-centric nature of our business, and the cyber part, I think on the move is really, Research in Motion imply on the move is actually a very appropriate name. If I think about changing it, well, no, not at this point. I think right now let's just focus on getting the growth for the